anytime a professional athlete is complaining about his pay, and you always get letters to the editor saying things like, here we've got these prima donnas, and what does this guy do? He throws a little white ball really fast at a catcher, and he gets millions of dollars, whereas our math teachers in high school only get 40 grand a year, whatever they get paid. And where are our nation's priorities? Right? That's the sort of thing you hear all the time, and that we as a nation are just discussing that. How can we not give more to our teachers than to the professional athletes? Now, the best analogy or counterexample to that sort of thinking that I like to use, and it usually catches people off guard, is to say, okay, you're right, that is a good point, and by the same token, I went to the mall the other day and I saw you can get a copy of the Holy Bible for $5, and a Nintendo GameCube costs like $300 or something like that. So where are our nation's priorities that this God's Word here is only worth $5, whereas this little entertainment is so much more, 60 times that. So, this nation's priorities are disgusting, and shouldn't the price of the Bible be much higher? And if you said that, that would be absurd, and people, even leftists wouldn't talk like that. Well, they don't like the Bible anyway. But you get the point. You could pick something leftist-like that is cheap, like the copy of Communist Manifesto, perhaps. All right, or the New York Times, right? The New York Times should be $50 a copy, and it's not. And so where are our nation's priorities? What are we saying about the quality of the media if, newspapers are so cheap? Right? If you talk like that, that would just be patently absurd. That would be silly, and nobody would buy into that, right? But that's exactly what's going on when it comes to labor, right? The same principles are involved, that just because a particular unit of labor gets a low price in the marketplace doesn't mean, therefore, society thinks that commodity has a low ethical value or isn't important to our civilization. It actually would be bad if a Bible cost $500, because then you wouldn't be able to hand them out to people, right? It would be really expensive. There'd be fewer Bibles going around. By the same token, if what you want is to give high school mathematics lectures to as many people as possible, you want math teachers to get a low salary, because if they earned as much as professional athletes did, their local school boards wouldn't be able to afford as many. Right? Only the cream of the crop students could go and learn about trigonometry. All right, so if you think it through and just push it a little bit, you'd realize it would be terrible if mathematics teachers earned what professional athletes did. And again, the reason for that has to do with scarcity. It's what economists often talk about as the so-called water-diamond paradox, where this is something classical economists talked about, that, of course, water is essential for life. It's very important, and yet diamonds are a frippery. That you can use them to make drill bits and things like that in certain applications, but really diamonds are just pretty to look at. They're not essential for life, and yet water is very cheap, however we want to define a unit of water, whereas diamonds are very expensive. And so why is that? There seems to be a disconnect, and the answer just has to do with scarcity, with supply and demand, if you want to think in those terms, that relative to human beings' uses for it, there's a lot more water than we need. Whereas with diamonds, it's the opposite, that for the things we want to do, for the rings we want to put it in, or their necklaces or what have you, earrings, putting it in certain cutting instruments, there aren't that many diamonds to go around, or it's very difficult to get them in the form that we need. And so that's why in a marketplace, those are the prices. It's not a reflection of how important are they to our civilization. And so it's the same thing when it comes to price of labor. Now, if the price of a Bible, it per se, isn't directly related to someone's income, the person selling the Bible could just sell more. And so if a Bible drops in price, that doesn't necessarily mean someone has less money to take home to his family. Whereas, yes, if you're a certain worker and the price of your labor goes down, then obviously that's going to influence you more. So I don't mean to deny that there is some difference between these types of cases I'm talking about, but the difference is not coming in because society doesn't care about teachers, right? As the Bible example demonstrates.